time in history, a reigning monarch makes a trip around the world, one of the momentous journeys of our time. The royal couple is off by air on the first leg of an historic tour which will take them to the far-flung corners of the Commonwealth to see and be seen by loyal subjects of the crown. A queen goes to her people. Bermuda is the first stop in the Western Hemisphere. Here, under sunny skies, the governor and his lady welcome the royal couple to Britain's oldest crown colony. It's the first time Bermuda has been host to a reigning monarch, and the island paradise falls under her spell during a brief 24-hour visit. At Jamaica, Elizabeth and Philip board the Gothic to continue their journey by sea. She greets officers and men of the liner as it heads for the Panama Canal. The famed 50-mile waterway linking the Atlantic and Pacific. They pass through on their way west. Out into the Pacific, where the Gothic is met by a Commonwealth warship which salutes the Queen. The equator, and woe betide the lowly pollywog making his first crossing. The Queen takes her own home movies of the initiation ceremony and memorable scenes while en route to the Fiji Islands. The harbor at Suva is festive in its welcome. Who steals the show but a tiny tot bashfully presenting Her Majesty with a bouquet of native flowers? Chieftains from all the Fiji Islands gather for the ceremonial making of kava, a native drink prepared only for very special occasions. And a queen's visit is it. The kava in its coconut shell is handed to the queen, who completes the ritual by drinking it. Tonga, the Friendly Isles, and a visit to 6'3" Queen Salote, who won the hearts of Londoners at Elizabeth's coronation. The most elaborate feast in Tonga's history, 4,200 suckling pigs and hundreds of chickens, is prepared for the Queen, paying a return call. New Zealand, the welcoming chant by natives of Polynesian ancestry, the Maoris. Elizabeth is invested with a feathered cape symbolizing Maori recognition of her authority as Queen. The first woman ever to speak on the sacred ceremonial grounds.
And you will always cherish the traditions which have been handed down from your forefathers. I thank you again for your welcome. Kia ora kutu.
New Zealand has much to offer the sightseer, queen or commoner. The tour of New Zealand continues by train so everyone can see the royal visitors. The route is lined by thousands who turn out to welcome Her Majesty. Australia, halfway point of the tour. A thunderous ovation and welcome as the royal couple make their way through the milling thousands of her loyal subjects. The roaring surf seems to echo Australia's enthusiasm as life-saving teams from down under put on a show. Brand new and excitingly different for this young couple from London. Elizabeth, absorbed, intent. Philip, thrilled, overstay their scheduled departure. Who could walk out on this? For 2 months, Elizabeth tours Australia's industries, its teeming cities and rural areas, all a part of the Queen's domain, living symbol of the crown that binds a Commonwealth. Now starts the return trip of more than 20,000 miles. Meanwhile, in England, Prince Charles and Princess Anne leave to join their parents at Tobruk. The Queen Mother and Aunt Margaret see them off. Aden, British Sea and Air Base, guarding the Red Sea approaches to the Suez Canal. The Queen reviews the colorful troops. For the first time in her tour, the Queen holds a public investiture. A sheikh rests one knee on a chair as he is knighted, for the Muslim holy man kneels only to Allah. Elizabeth and Philip arrive at Uganda, British East Africa, not far from the Mau Mau country. At Lake Victoria, the Queen dedicates a new power dam, momentarily stopping the flow of the River Nile. An historic moment in African history, proud moment for a young queen. Tobruk, North Africa, where desert rats made history in World War II. And a reunion with her children, in good hands on board the Royal Yacht Britannia, which will take the family home. A visit to Gibraltar, the Rock, the British bastion guarding the entrance to the Mediterranean. Pomp and pageantry of empire as the Queen touches the 4 silver keys, a symbolic ceremony acknowledging her sovereignty. Like children round the world, the Prince and Princess watch the famous Barbary apes. Princess Anne is intrigued, and so is her mother, when one of the creatures drops by unexpectedly. Whoops! He's not a bit awed by royalty. Legend has it that as long as the Barbary apes stay, so will the British. But for the royal family, it's farewell to Gibraltar. They're homeward bound, escorted by British warships to complete a momentous journey that took 6 months and covered some 50,000 miles. Home again with great hopes for the future of the Commonwealth. As the Queen sets foot on British soil, she is greeted on Westminster Dock by members of the royal family. Elated by the fanfare of the occasion, Princess Anne skips gaily along. Church and state bid her welcome. The Archbishop of Canterbury and Prime Minister Sir Winston Churchill, belying his nearly 80 years. The youngsters seek out their grandmother. Scenes reminiscent of the coronation unfold as the royal procession winds through the streets of London toward Buckingham Palace. The trip is over. The Queen is home. The crowd surges forward in a spontaneous outburst of enthusiasm. A tremendous visible and audible expression of affection for the throne. Members of the royal household provide her with still another warm welcome. The Duke beckons a tardy daughter. Well done, Your Majesty. Queen Elizabeth has renewed and re-welded the bonds that make the British Commonwealth strong. Long live the Queen!